What's up, everybody? We are back with the Texas Rangers here on opening day 2021, and just checking in real quick, doing a little recap of spring training, how I decided to set the roster, who made the team, and I'm going to explain that, and then we'll get into it. Probably end up ending this episode maybe with the draft. I'm trying to make my episode shorter, more concise, so I'll see how it looks after we finish this. Maybe I'll do its own episode or sim a certain amount of time and then sim to the draft. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure it out. But definitely want to make my episode shorter. A bunch of them were 50 minutes. So let's get into it. First, the lineups. So the starting lineup looks like this. Andrews, Martin, Calhoun, Gallo, Solak, Guzman, Contreras, Lamb, and Alamize. These are the guys that made the team out of spring. And then along with them on the roster is Cufo, Felefa, Kendrick, Martin, and Williams. So these are my batters. Carrying an extra guy. I decided to throw in an extra catcher because the league expanded my roster to 27. And that, the situation's still fluid. I don't know if maybe I want to carry an extra catcher or an extra pitcher. Haven't decided yet. But for now, just decided to take these. Cufo was really the only guy who I wanted to carry on my roster. We have a bunch of prospects down in AAA who I want to let work some things out, start the season down there, like Huff, who is another catcher. And I mentioned before, I think that Felefa is kind of in limbo. I'm not really sure what I want to do with him at the moment, because he doesn't really play any position particularly well, but his bat is okay, so I'm not sure yet. He's definitely a guy who I would consider trading, depending on the situation. But, yeah... Guzman is getting the bulk of the starts over Kendrick, which, they're not even platooning Kendrick. They're hitting Kendrick more often against lefties. I kind of got them under the assumption that they would be platooning, but, I think Kendrick will do well against lefties. I think he'll be he's also cycling in at DH with Willie Calhoun. Willie Calhoun at DH is great. That's kind of exactly what I wanted. And it looks like in the offseason his bat came along pretty good, so I'm hoping that his season next year is a little better than what he gave us last year. This offense, actually, in my opinion, looks pretty good. The only real weaknesses that I see, obviously, we really want Solak to bring these numbers up. Jake Lamb is probably a weakness. Although he did well in Arizona last year, and I got him for a steal, $1.4 million. So I'm hoping that he can at least supply some power to the lineup. And Justin Williams on the bench is a great bat. Jason Martin did very well for us last year in his short taste of the majors, and his bat looks really good. So, hopefully this offense can really pick up. A couple weaknesses. We are very left-handed heavy. We do have William Contreras, who is a rookie. I'm hoping he can really bring it together. He was the Rule 5 pick from the Braves. And there's kind of a lack of protection behind Gallo. Possibly worried about Solak hitting fifth. But otherwise, that's it. Odor's not going to be happy about not starting, but maybe we could try to move him this season. Don't know who would take it, but we'll try. We'll try like heck. This is, and then we also have Andrews next year. So those guys are going to be sticking it out for a little bit. And Lamb and, where are they? Lamb and Kendrick are just kind of stopgaps until the guys down in AAA can figure their stuff out. But I like this offense. I'm not sure if it's super competitive, but I think it's definitely going to be better than last year, especially if a few of the guys who underperformed can really bring it together. And we have a solid kind of mix here, especially in the infield. Odor's going to be cycling in. Felefa is going to be cycling in. So, we have Alamize as well. So, interesting little mix here. And I really want to see what this offensive unit does. I'm hoping they can perform better. Alamize obviously isn't a long-term solution, but he's a really good guy, really good fielder. I was more looking for him to be a utility option, and I was kind of hoping that Odor would start. I'm considering maybe force starting Odor and then seeing where that takes us. But if, maybe sim for a month, and then if Odor is pretty bad, just take it off. I might do that. I don't know. That'll be something that I let you guys know about in the next update. And then opening day roster, pitching wise, the rotation looks like this: Anderson at the top, Gibson 2, Mitch White 3, Colby Allard 4, and Corbin Martin 5. Actually, let me just make sure. I don't think I changed anything. Yeah. So this is the rotation. Anderson, I'm not sure about. He had kind of a rough spring. As you can see there, his performance, he's very unhappy. He had a rough spring, but judging by his numbers in San Francisco, I think he could be a solid pickup for us just to fill out this season. I kind of acquired him. His cost was cheap, so I acquired him as kind of a stopgap. And, if he does well, maybe we sign him to a short-term extension to fill out our rotation, because that's one weakness we really do have is pitching. We have a really big pitching weakness, and I'm going to be looking hopefully to acquire some young arms, because down in the farm it doesn't look like Bitsko is really doing so hot. So this year we are the 5th pick. Maybe we can get our hands on Kumar, but we'll see. Anderson is there's a lot riding on him to try to anchor this rotation. Gibson at 2, obviously, couldn't move him. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I don't think this 6.44 ERA is his normal output. I think he'll do better this year, even though he's angry. I think he'll do better this year. He had a decent spring from what I remember, so high hopes on that. Oops. And then Allard obviously had a great showing with us, 2.89 ERA. Like we looked at, the FIP was a little higher, but there's still room for him to develop. He looks like a solid 3.4. So I'm hoping that he can continue this trend and really grow into that 50 potential that my scout says he has. Mitch White is going to be a guy who the microscope is going to be on, because these ratings, this work ethic, this potential are a lot better than the stats that he put up with us. Granted, it was only in 5 games, but the stats aren't that great. In Nashville, he looked good, a lot better than he did in Oklahoma. A lot less innings, but he looked good. So really hoping that Mitch can put it together, because we really need him. We traded Kluber for him, so I'm really hoping he can bring it together, because he's kind of one of the future hopes of our pitching rotation. And then Corbin Martin, acquired from the D-backs. Like I said, his ratings plummeted as soon as I traded for him, but he looked good in Arizona in 5 games, limited action. He's also a really good guy, work ethic and intelligence. A lot of really good pitches here, solid 4-pitch mix. The movement's a little worrying, but Texas isn't very homer friendly, so I'm hoping that can, the stuff and the control can outperform it. And if this stuff and control can develop, we're solid. I think the biggest thing is maybe if we can just get the stuff to 55 and the movement to 45, he'd be in a solid position to be, a good starting pitcher for us. And I believe my pitching coach is power focus, so he should help Corbin a little bit. And then the bullpen, Brandon Workman's the closer. Signed him on the 1-year contract, team option. I'm really hoping he can repeat this 2020 campaign to lock down the back end of our bullpen. Possible trade candidate. Barlow out of the closer role. He kind of deflated towards the end of the season, so I'm hoping that he can develop a little bit more as the setup man. He looks good already, but I mean, if he can get up to even a 60, get that fastball up and a little bit more movement, and we'd have a solid guy at the back end. And then Jose Leclerc, obviously, is still a big-time player for us. And so, the back end of our bullpen looks really good. We got a 3-headed monster back there. Jordan Guerrero, our Rule 5 pick. Or, no, not a Rule 5 pick. I put him on the 40-man to avoid a Rule 5 pick. Our trade acquisition from San Diego for Lyles. He looks really good. Hasn't pitched above A ball. Oh no, actually he pitched in Double A for a third of an inning. That's right. But hasn't pitched, a lot of upper level baseball, but the velocity is there. The movement is very much there. He had a very good spring, which is why he made the club. And even if that changeup doesn't develop, if this slider can get up to 55, he can be a pretty solid relief piece for us. Pretty lights out middle relief guy. Fernando Romero was I believe, he's a waiver claim. He looked good in the spring as well. He's kind of a guy who we're waiting on to develop. If we really need these pitches to develop and the stuff to get up there. But I'm hoping that he can really bring it out with us and do well. Brett Martin, he was here last year. Tough scene, but he's in a little bit less of a high leverage role, so hopefully he does well. And then we have Matt Strom as long relief and the emergency SP. He's another guy we got. We got him in the trade for Lyles. Did well in San Diego last year. And we have Joely Rodriguez back on. He is in a role that I think is better for him. He is the left-handed specialist. Montero is not on the club. We ended up having a little bit of a roster crunch, so I outrighted Montero to AAA. So he'll probably be back given an injury or, low performance. But we do have some guys who are looking to make a move up to the major league club this year, which is something I'm just going to touch on real quick. Nick Muirs is getting close. He might make an appearance this year. I definitely want to get DeMarcus Evans some action this year because he's looking good in his development. The control's a little worrying, but he's been pitching well in the minors, so depending on how his stats look, I want to get him up. Spitzbarth is ready. He's another guy who may fill in as like a taxi guy, ready and waiting. He'll cycle up if I need a replacement at short notice. And then we have the prospects down here that are developing. Sam Huff will probably get some action this year, depending on the numbers. I'd ideally like the numbers to be a little higher, considering his defensive value isn't super high. The bat's supposed to be pretty good. 3 homers last year in AAA isn't great, but he did jump AA completely, so we'll see how he does in AAA. Maybe we have to send him down to AA for a little bit. He is on the 40-man. He did use an option, so the clock is ticking. Walker will be coming up soon, hopefully. Ideally, he'll be taking over after Kendrick is gone. Walker, obviously, we got him from, or not obviously, but we got him from the Dodgers. He didn't do well in their AAA. Sent him back to AA. He mashed, so he's starting the season at AAA this year. And then we have Yani Hernandez is another utility man, kind of like Alamize, a little bit worse fielder. He'll just be a guy who might cycle up and down. Shirt and Apostle will be at third next year probably once Lamb is gone. Waiting to see how he does in AAA. He did very well in AA last year. He missed some time due to injury, so that's why we're taking a little slow with him. Tejeda as well will be a solid option for our infield. He might actually be ready now, but the numbers weren't great in 2020. He also skipped AA, so I didn't want to completely risk just calling him right up to the majors. Same true with Leody Taveras. I thought about calling him right up, ended up not doing it, deciding to just carry 3 catchers. Plus my outfield situation is loaded in the majors right now. Way too many outfielders. But Leody Taveras will come up probably if someone gets injured. I like his ratings in center and right. And the contact. I'd like the contact to nudge itself up a little bit. The power is not a big deal, but he could be a solid leadoff man, I think, if that contact goes up. And then Pedro Gonzalez is a guy who might see some action soon. He did well in Frisco. Adolis Garcia might get another call-up. I think he had a good spring. And I don't remember how Eli White did in the spring, but I'm not too high on Eli White. I did remove him from the 40-man, but I put him back on just for depth reasons because I didn't end up adding Yanni to the 40-man like I thought I was going to. And then there's just a few guys down here that we're still waiting on. The closest guy down there to the majors is probably Julio Pablo Martinez, and I'm wondering if he should start in AAA, but I don't really have any room for him up here. Unless we get rid of Heineman. We might have to get rid of Heineman to move Julio Pablo Martinez up. And yeah, I just gotta figure this out. I have a couple guys that I've offered minor league contracts, so we'll figure that out when we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Maybe we'll release Heineman actually to get Julio Pablo Martinez a spot. How does his rings look? Not great. He's not even really a good defensive replacement. I don't know, we'll see. I'll leave him down in Double A. If he starts tearing the cover off the ball, he'll force us to make a decision. So, yeah, that's how we look. After setting the roster, the preseason predictions have gone down. We are now slated to win 68 games, which I don't think we're going to be this bad. I really don't understand how we're supposed to be this bad. They think that our offense is going to be really bad, which, based on last year, maybe. But I think if our guys can bounce back, we could jockey for maybe not 80 wins, but I could see like a 70 win season, somewhere around, just above the Orioles territory. I see us putting up more, honestly, offensively, I see us putting up Mariners numbers with home runs, maybe a little higher on the batting average, depending on if guys can put it together. I would look for maybe, honestly, that Orioles season looks like a pretty solid comp to us, actually. Maybe like the Orioles offensive numbers here and our ERA. I could see us winning 70-something games. Although it could be because we're going to get beat up on by our division, which could be the case. But I don't know. I'm hoping we overperform. These aren't always right. Sometimes they're right, but they're not always right. And in this case, this is one of those cases where I'm hoping they're not right. But I think the outlook is good. The prospects are coming. The biggest thing for us to do this year, once again, I think, is acquire pitching, starting pitching. The bullpen looks good, and it's controllable for a long time. But I think we need to figure out the veteran situation in the lineups, and then maybe think about getting some more pitching. And that's going to be big for the draft, free agency, and the waiver wire, probably. I'll be looking for pitchers and crossing my fingers and hoping I can find them. But we have opening day at Seattle. I'm going to do that. Probably sim to... probably I'll just end this episode here as a quick little opening day roster introduction, and then we will reconvene either in May or at the first year player draft, one or the other. So thanks guys for watching. Thanks for your support, for the views. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to see more, leave a comment if you have any suggestions, questions, or just want to say hi, and I will see you guys in the future.